In 2001, Michael Schumacher watched a 16-year-old kid finish 7th in a rain-soaked kart race.
Lewis Hamilton in 7th spot as they cross the line.
And quietly predicted the end of his own era. 25 years later, that kid is sitting in Schumacher's old seat at Ferrari, chasing the exact same ghost. This is the story of how one throwaway quote in a karting paddock turned into the blueprint for Lewis Hamilton's entire career. Most people hear this story and assume they already know how it goes. A 4-time world champion visits a karting event, notices a gifted young driver, offers a few kind words, and everyone moves on. That's a reasonable way to read it, probably how journalists interpreted the quote when it was first published. But if that were the whole story, we wouldn't still be talking about it a quarter century later. Schumacher wasn't complimenting a teenager. He was identifying something much bigger. There's a difference between praise and a diagnosis. Praise is about what you've already seen. A diagnosis is about what's coming next. October 2001, Kirpen, Germany. Schumacher had just secured his 4th world championship, the undisputed benchmark of the sport, Ferrari dominating with him leading the charge. Instead of relaxing on his weekend off, he entered the Formula Super A World Karting Championship. Not nostalgia, that simply wasn't how he operated. He treated it like a Grand Prix, because he hated losing no matter what he was driving. Qualifying brought a harsh reality, only 20th place. For a reigning 4-time champion, that was humbling. But these weren't Formula One drivers. They were dedicated kart racers, in machines with no power steering, no downforce, almost no room for error. The stopwatch showed no respect for world titles. In the opening heat, Schumacher fought from 20th to 8th. The second heat was worse. A collision, then a water pump issue, dropped him to 15th.
But the best laid plans of mice and men go astray. Schumacher crashes out on lap 15.
Sunday brought rain, the conditions where he was normally at his best. He was making steady progress in the first final when, on lap 15, he spun, the engine stalled, and it refused to restart. He started the second final from the very back, and by the checkered flag, after a driver ahead was disqualified, he crossed the line in second, from the back, in the rain. That was Michael Schumacher. Never someone who accepted where he started, always someone who worked his way through a field. And while he was fighting his own way forward, he was watching someone else do exactly the same thing. Lewis Hamilton was 16. This was almost certainly his final kart race before single-seaters. McLaren had already signed him, his first Formula test just weeks away. He qualified 26th and finished 7th. Saro Sassetti won the race. Schumacher claimed 2nd. By any reasonable standard, Schumacher's comeback drive was the story of the weekend. Yet when he sat down with reporters, he didn't talk about himself. He talked about a teenager who hadn't even finished on the podium. He'd noticed a pattern, and he believed in patterns. Then he said this: "He's a quality driver, very strong and only 16. If he keeps this up, I'm sure he will reach F1. It's something special to see a kid of his age out on the circuit. He's clearly got the right racing mentality." Look closely at what he actually said. He never called Hamilton the fastest, or the most spectacular, or the most talented. He used words like quality, strong, and the right racing mentality. Words that describe a process, a way of racing, not a single performance. Schumacher wasn't praising what Hamilton had achieved that weekend. He was recognizing the approach he used to achieve it. Now look at the comparison he never openly made. He'd qualified 20th, climbed to 8th, crashed out of the first final, started the second from the back, and fought to 2nd. Built not on outright speed, but on refusing to accept his starting position. Across the paddock, a 16-year-old was following the exact same blueprint. He recognized it because he was looking at someone who raced the way he did. And when you recognize your own qualities in someone else, you recognize where those qualities can take them. Autosport published the quote. It was archived. For years, almost nobody realized they were looking at the beginning of a story whose ending hadn't unfolded yet. The following season, Schumacher won 11 of 17 races. 2 years later, 13 of 18. Formula One looked completely under control. But beneath the surface, Hamilton was tearing through the junior ranks. And when he arrived at McLaren as a rookie, he immediately matched reigning champion Fernando Alonso wheel for wheel, coming within a single point of the title in his first season. Then came the test. At the 2007 Chinese Grand Prix, with the championship within reach, Hamilton slid into the gravel in the pit lane entry, and his race ended there. One mistake, the title lost by a single point. The answer to whether the pressure had been too much came a year later. Interlagos, the final corner, the final lap of the season. Hamilton overtook Timo Glock, struggling for grip on dry tires in the rain. Silence turned to chaos. A world championship decided by a single point. Schumacher's prediction from the karting paddock at Kerpen had become reality. But Schumacher's own story wasn't over. He came out of retirement to join Mercedes at 41 years old. It never unfolded how he'd hoped. Across 3 seasons, he failed to win a single race. His only podium came at the 2012 European Grand Prix in Valencia, 3rd place, surviving a post-race investigation. He also set the fastest qualifying lap in Monaco that year, without converting it into the result it deserved. As 2012 progressed, speculation grew that Mercedes wanted Hamilton, whose McLaren contract was ending. In late September, Mercedes made it official. Hamilton would join for 2013. The seat belonged to Schumacher. Officially, Mercedes called it a mutual decision, but the sequence tells a more revealing story. Mercedes announced Hamilton signing first, and only days later at Suzuka did Schumacher confirm his second retirement. Martin Brundle said it would have been better if Schumacher had announced his own retirement first. Instead, as Brundle put it, he'd effectively been hoofed out. Schumacher himself tried to downplay it. "It is not painful, it is a relief to me." Remarkable words from a driver who'd spent 3 seasons fighting to get back to the front. Because one thing had already become clear. When Hamilton joins a team, he doesn't just fit into the structure, he becomes the center of it, through his commercial value, his contract leverage, and the pull of a driver no team could realistically treat as a number 2. From 2014 onward, Hamilton rewrote Formula One history. 5 championships with Mercedes, then a 6th, then a 7th at the Nürburgring. In October 2020, he matched Schumacher's all-time record of 91 Grand Prix wins, at a circuit where one corner bears Schumacher's name. By the end of 2025, his numbers stood at 105 wins, 104 poles, 7 titles. Nearly every record that once belonged exclusively to Michael Schumacher now had Hamilton's name beside it, or above it. While all this was happening, another chapter had already begun. On December 29, 2013, at a ski resort in the French Alps, Schumacher suffered a devastating head injury. He survived. But the man who transformed Ferrari, shattered records, and quietly spotted Hamilton's future in a rainy karting paddock has not spoken publicly since. He witnessed the second half of this story in complete silence, not by choice, but because fate chose it for him. He predicted what was coming. Then history unfolded without his voice. After 12 seasons and 6 championships with Mercedes, Hamilton made another historic decision. He left for Ferrari. Schumacher's Ferrari, where Schumacher won 5 of his 7 titles and became the defining figure of the team's greatest era. From the outside, it looked like the perfect ending. But Hamilton's career has never followed fairy tales. In Las Vegas, on his final Q1 lap, he clipped a bollard and abandoned it before setting a competitive time. 20th, last on the grid, for the first time in his career. Leclerc consistently outqualified him all season, and by the end, Hamilton trailed him by 86 points without a single podium, the first full season of his career without one. His China Sprint win was one of the few genuine highlights of a brutal 24-race campaign. Race engineer Riccardo Adami was moved aside for a temporary replacement, Carlos Santi, instability Hamilton called detrimental, and reports suggested Ferrari chairman John Elkann pushed back against him publicly during the season. After the Hungarian Grand Prix, Hamilton didn't make excuses. He was brutally honest with himself in the debrief. Which leaves an uncomfortable question. What if this partnership never delivers what everyone expected? What if Leclerc is simply the quicker Ferrari driver now? Schumacher's own Ferrari journey wasn't straightforward either. His first 2 seasons, 1996 and 1997, were full of setbacks, and his first title with the team didn't arrive until his 5th season in Maranello. The difference is, Hamilton doesn't have 5 years. He's 41. Realistically, he has 2, maybe 3. Fast forward to March 2026, Shanghai, race day. Hamilton has completed 26 race weekends as a Ferrari driver without a podium. This season also brings Formula One's new regulations. a complete technical reset forcing every team to start from scratch. Hamilton has said that, for the first time, he truly feels connected to the car. He finishes third, his first Ferrari podium, more than a year into the job. After Las Vegas, the engineer changes, the reported pressure from Elkan, and the toughest season of his career. His 2025 Chinese Grand Prix result had been erased after scrutineering. This one stands. Before that came 4th in Australia, 6th in Japan, and 6th in Miami. Promoted to 7th after a penalty for Leclerc. 4 races, points in every one. This isn't the finished transformation. It's only the beginning. A difficult, imperfect climb from a hard starting position. Learning the car, working forward. That's exactly what Schumacher saw 25 years ago. His warning was never about where Hamilton would begin. It was about what happens once he refuses to stay there. Back in 2001, his words went into the Autosport archives. Quality driver, the right racing mentality. And without realizing it, he handed everyone the thread connecting every chapter since. The karting race, the F1 debut, the Mercedes era, the records, and finally, the move to Maranello. That thread still hasn't reached its end. At the very team Schumacher built into a powerhouse, the same qualities he spotted on a wet karting circuit are visible again. Schumacher warned us this moment would come. It did. We just didn't realize we'd been holding the beginning of the story until 25 years later. Meanwhile, the Mercedes seat Hamilton left behind has already been filled by a 19-year-old rookie who opened the season with 3 straight wins. To understand exactly what Kimi Antonelli has inherited, you first need to understand why Hamilton walked away from Mercedes. And the real reason is even more surprising than most people remember.